this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Sean.
Chris.
Lee.
Well, we had a British Grand Prix yesterday.
Yeah, it was
There
all right.
was a British Grand Prix. And at the end of last week's podcast, I was like, oh, we could get a boring one. We could get a mad one. We got a mad one.
Yay! I mean, was it ever? Where do you pick a highlight?
The highlight, I think, in sensible terms, looking back, the highlight is that Guan Yu Zhou is alive for a start.
And seemingly very well, was posting selfies after the race and walking around the paddock.
Yeah, met Stefano Domenicali, made sure that, Domenicali was like, oh, you're all right, you're okay. Like, yeah, fine. Like, just a little bit shaken up. I wonder if he'll be cleared to race for this coming weekend, but...
Well, he seems to be
Yeah, if
okay.
he's been medically discharged, he should be fine.
Mm.
Yeah.
Before we do the sort of the race review and talk about everything that went on, I'm just throwing the halo in as Rockstar. We're just taking that as read.
Just
Had a good weekend.
for F2 as well.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, does that mean we can call Nissani a wanker?
Oh, yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, I don't think that's fair.
he launched another driver across the track.
Yeah, but then nearly killed himself, so he wouldn't...
That would not have happened if he hadn't launched Dennis Hauger in the first place.
Yeah, this is true.
If anything, it was only right that it was his car that got landed on.
Yeah. But I don't think it wasn't on purpose, I don't think. It was just Roy
Poor
Nissan is not
management,
very good.
yeah.
He already had a 5-place grid penalty for launching somebody at the previous race.
I didn't see this. Apparently, was this as good?
Have you not seen the Formula 2?
No, but I did read something that said like the Halo did its job twice this weekend with Formula 2. So was it a goodie?
So they're wheel to wheel.
Formula 2 was good.
Nissani sort of comes across, launches Hauger, who then hits a sausage curb while flailing out of control, takes off, lands on Nissani's car.
Right over the cockpit.
Yeah, lands basically, if there was no halo, he'd have landed on Roy Nissan's head.
Do you know what? If he hasn't got a line of merchandise which is like branded "One Man Nisami," then somebody's missing the trick, aren't they?
He's on the Williams Junior programme, so I think he's got to be very careful about what he says, because that's not exactly got a great amount of tolerance, has it? Right.
Well, for the majority, it hasn't had a great amount of talent. So
There is that as well.
Yes. So we will move on from the support race to the main race. Firstly, the start and that crash.
A bit mad, wasn't it?
Or those crashes. Because I think there was 7 cars
3
involved altogether.
Yeah, but
in
3
the two
incidents, wasn't
separate
there?
incidents, or where one meets another. I'm not entirely sure.
But they were all reactionary to what happened with Guan Yu Zhou, George Russell, and Pierre Gasly, weren't they?
Yes.
I don't think anyone's at fault. It's like one of those start line things. It's just, I don't know if everybody saw the Sky replay, but Karun Chandhok slowing it down and showing that George Russell's looking in his mirror and sees Pierre Gasly there and tries to just sort of close Gasly off. But Gasly's a little bit too quick because Russell just got such a rubbish start.
It's your standard 3 cars going for one bit that they're all perfectly entitled to go for.
Yeah.
It just doesn't go.
Yeah, and obviously when
the
Russell gets tapped, Zhou goes upside down, and then everything else happened behind them.
Yeah.
The only car that actually made that gap was Latifi.
No, Kevin Magnussen did really well getting through everything without hitting anything.
Ocon made that gap very well. He just then got picked up.
Well, I mean,
twatted,
Latifi made it between Zhou and Russell.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, sorry, yeah, no, he did make that gap, yeah.
Yeah,
but the
because he was off like a rocket.
I think they just got such a terrible start, didn't they? Everybody who started on the harder tire, but because we had 3 different tire choices at the start as well, which is rare. Usually, normally have 1 or 2, and just Russell was just so slow off the line and trying to close that gap to Gasly, which obviously threw him into Zhou, which put Guan Yu Zhou upside down. Brakes don't work when your wheels aren't touching the floor.
No.
So then you've got Albon tried to avoid the incident, and then was it Bottas who was slowing down? Albon tapped his brakes. Vettel ran into the back of Albon, spinning Albon into the wall, who came back across the track and twatted Esteban Ocon.
That was a
And
I tell you
Tsunoda.
what,
And Yuki Tsunoda.
And Tsunoda, yeah.
Albon's got lost, didn't it, in amongst
Yeah.
Zhou's like massive incident, but he had
Albon
a
went to hospital.
right bump. Yeah, the G-force light and everything came on in his car. That was quite an impact.
Yeah, I think
it
with
was.
hindsight, I think that was the worst of the crashes by the looks of it. Joe's is obviously very dramatic and where he ended up landing, but in terms of the impact on the driver, it was Albon who came off worst.
He was he was really fortunate how
Yeah,
he landed.
Very much
Like
so.
it's oddly enough, I think if he'd have gone into the barriers, he would have been in a much worse shape than he did going over the barriers onto the catch
Yep.
fence.
I have to agree. I think that I thought that as well. I thought it might be a worse accident if he'd maybe hit the tire barrier and bounced back out or something. You know, that kind of motion is not what you, especially not upside down.
No.
Do you think
Not what you want.
Do you think it's something that they're going to have to look into with because we haven't seen like an upside down car for a while like that, and certainly not one taken off because is that something to think about with the new cars?
I've seen people referencing the Pedro Diniz accident in '99, I think it was. But obviously there was no halo back then, and he pretty much lost the roll hoop on the car as it was going upside down through the gravel trap.
Yeah, I remember that.
So he was even, I don't say even luckier, but you know he had a lot less car to protect him than Guan Yu Zhou had.
Yeah.
So
any crash like that, especially if you're going through a gravel trap, is going to be like is sketchy.
Mm.
But you want to avoid, don't you?
Yeah,
you want to
just
avoid
don't
the
know what's
avoidable.
going to dig in as well, do you? When you're sort of flipping like that, you don't know where the car is going to get stuck in the gravel.
And it was the car digging in late that actually launched it over the tyres.
Yeah.
Yeah, undoubtedly, again, and I'm not saying this is definitely not Lee saying we should get rid of the Halo before any of the fucking people that are still crazy against the Halo think that.
Is there anyone still crazy against the Halo?
I think so.
There are oddities about.
Yeah. But what I did think was the way Zhou's car ended up, it was a prime example of how the Halo can definitely trap people in cars.
Yeah, I think I think with the way that it ended up though is a bit of an outlier because you wouldn't expect a car to actually go between the tyre barrier and the catch fence.
No, but it did.
This is why the tyre barriers aren't up against the catch fence because it's one of those. This couldn't happen.
Yeah, but you think about Grosjean's crash as well. That's another one of those crashes that couldn't happen. So if all of a sudden if you have two crashes that couldn't happen, and then you have another crash which is a mixture of the two of them, like if there's fire involved, Joe's dead.
Mm.
There's no doubt about that. Like if that crash had ended in a similar way to Grosjean's, he's dead.
But I think with the Grosjean crash, though, it was the Halo that actually pushed the barriers out of the way.
Yeah,
It
no.
was,
Grosjean
again,
would have been dead without the Halo.
That's what Lee's saying.
Yeah.
When you get a mix, when obviously Joe could not get himself out of the car
Yeah.
because of how it came to land. And okay, the Halo protected him and gave him the space, but if there was fire there, it is a problem.
He required extracting as well, did he not? Because the it triggered a sensor within the car.
I think when
the
it's
amount of impact.
I think any
wasn't-
sort of risk like that for sort of spine and neck and whatnot, they're always very careful until you've had a
what
good
that
check.
means. Yeah, what that means for those who don't know, basically you can take the whole seat out with the driver in
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah.
So they just hook onto. There's like hooks, isn't there? Essentially,
I think so.
The holes for hooks, and they take the whole driver out, still attached to a
Mm-hmm.
seat. So any spine, neck, or head injury or anything that could take place by where you would pull somebody out of a car like that, that's what the extraction is. And they had a specialist extraction team had to go down and take Guan Yu Zhou out of that car. But yeah, that's that. Look at where we are with safety now. Like 15 years ago, even that driver in that similar accident probably probably dead, or at least not getting out. You know,
Yeah.
not coming, not going to the next race, or maybe the rest of the
Absolutely.
season. Look what happened with Felipe Massa. That was 13 years ago now with the
Well,
spring.
that's the same corner, isn't it? That Schumacher broke both his legs on. It was, I
No,
think.
No.
no.
It was
Schumacher,
Stowe.
Schumacher did it at Stowe.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
a Stowe, was it? Yeah.
You were
I
there.
go straight.
I should know. It was on the corner.
The track has
But,
changed a little bit since then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
the corner that Joe crashed on. Oops, the corner that Joe crashed on didn't exist when Schumacher had his accident.
Ah, right. Okay, cool. But yeah, it's just fortunate, isn't it? Just a really fortunate situation. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm just glad he's alive and okay, because for a while I was just like, when because we had that thing with the TV where they wouldn't show the car, they wouldn't show the replays. I was just like, oh no.
well, the only reason I thought he was fine pretty early doors was because you can tell by the paddock if something's serious.
Yeah.
Nobody stood around, waiting for the red flag
Yeah,
to go.
there was no pacing.
Nobody was concerned. Yeah. There was.
Yeah, the only thing that gave me a little bit of inkling that he was fine was George Russell, because I know
Yeah.
he ran straight to the scene of the accident, and
Very
when
calm
he
back
left
to
the
the
scene
car.
of the very calm back to the car to sort of see if he could get his car back to the pits. That was the only other thing I thought. Well, if it was that serious, George Russell would not be like, oh, okay, I'll get back to the start of the race.
Yeah. Unless he really hated Guan Yu Zhou.
Yeah, just coming over to make sure he's actually.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, time to get on with my day.
Yeah, and of course, after Russell did that, he couldn't restart the car. Went to talk to a marshal, and he says the next thing he knew, it was on a flatbed.
Well, he couldn't get the car started, so he had to run back to the garage to ask the team something first. And then when he ran back to the car, it was on a flatbed. So
We've all got in trouble
he
for
couldn't-
leaving our car parked somewhere it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was floor damage. There was he said it was just a puncture, but I mean, when you looked at it, there was a little bit of damage to that car, probably akin to what Max Verstappen had when he ran over that curb a bit later on. So he probably wasn't in great race trim, to be fair.
Yeah, apparently it was more than that. What's his name? The Morris Hamilton on the race podcast was talking about this, and it's the impact he had to the back wheel had fucked his transmission, and that's why he couldn't get the car started.
Oh,
So
okay.
he probably wouldn't have been able to get running anyway. It's just
Fair.
it's just one of those things. But
It is, yeah.
it was it's shame. I think it would have been, when you look at the pace that Mercedes had, it would have been interesting to see George come through the pack.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. He was much faster than all the cars ahead of him until he got to probably the Red Bulls of Perez. Obviously, Perez had problems. He dropped down. Verstappen had problems. He dropped down the order as well. So yeah, it probably would have been. He probably would have been up there with Lewis Hamilton at some point during the race.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was neck and neck with him all through qualifying, wasn't he? Until right at the very end.
Yeah.
It's the. In fact, just a quick note to anyone that listens to other podcasts, to Dirty Formula One podcasts, I would like to formally downgrade Matt from WTF1, downgrade him to like the second biggest podcast prick behind the new guy on the BBC F1 podcast, that I can't listen to the BBC F1 podcast
Ooh,
for
I
it.
have not heard the new guy.
I hopefully it's just because Jack Nicholls was busy with it being the British Grand Prix, and all normal service will be resumed. This guy was so much of a Lewis Hamilton fanboy, he couldn't even bring himself to say that George Russell was doing a good job. It was insane. And then on Sunday, he proceeded to say, oh, well, Mercedes seems to have found something now. But at least with Hamilton, I'm not really sure where George is. They're going, well, he crashed on the first corner and he was really quick in qualifying. So you could probably say they're both doing okay. But yeah, he he like it's like and when I put him at number one and fucking headroom. So,
any idea who he was?
Dave, someone I think. I'm sure his name is Dave something. I've never heard of him before, but I know on the Sunday podcast, on the preview podcast, the preview podcast, which I must say, spoke in a 45-minute podcast about Formula One, talked about Nelson Piquet and Bernie Ecclestone talking about Vladimir Putin for 36 minutes.
And then had a 9-minute podcast about Formula One.
The 9 minutes of preview over 30 minutes of fucking politics. I was not a happy bunny with the podcast world as far as Formula One's concerned. But yeah, they mentioned something about football to him. There was lots of football things, so I can only imagine he's been piloted in and knows fucking nothing about Formula One apart from the fact that there's a British guy that does quite well called Lewis.
Was it Harry Benjamin? Is he usually part of that setup?
Maybe.
He's the guy that does the Formula 3 commentary.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know. But either way, I don't know.
And while we're on about replacement commentary this week, who the hell was doing the F2?
Yeah, he was not good.
No idea.
Because
no idea. I did watch a bit of the race on Sunday morning. I did watch a bit of the race before Nissany and Hauger had their accident, and I did notice it was different commentators.
Yeah, I think Alex Jakes was busy because he was having to do everything for Channel 4 this weekend. So they got somebody in who, he was co-commentator with Tom Gaymore, and I think they'd met about 5 minutes before the first commentary they did.
Just leave Tom Gaymore to do it. Tom Gaymore is fine.
You know, when you've got an expert, which Tom Gaymore I would say definitely is. You know, knowledgeable, knows his racing, knows who the drivers are, knows who the teams are. When you've got somebody like that sat next to you, you don't spend all the time talking over them about something that's not even on screen.
No.
And congratulations to Logan Sargent, by the way. We've spoken about him before. I think he's a Williams Academy driver, isn't he?
He is.
He's one of the best named drivers of all time.
Yes.
Period. Logan Sargent. I mean, come on. And the F2's first American winner, I believe.
He does have a brother as well who also races, whose name eludes me, but the name is also good.
Oh, please let him be Wolverine.
I don't think it's Wolverine.
Happy Independence Day to everybody in America, or as we call it.
By the time this is out, we will call it Timble Day.
Yeah, no, actually, it will come out still on Monday for some Americans. For the American Patreons, it will. So happy Independence Day today to our American Patreons, and happy Independence Day belatedly yesterday for all the American non-Patreons. I think I got that right.
Dalton Sargent is the brother.
Right, okay, so they are from Professor X's Superhero Academy.
Dalton and Logan Sargent.
Or they're YouTubers.
No, that's Logan Paul.
Oh dear, I'm choking here. Anything else sort of we noticed in particular that doesn't fit in with the usual team by team?
Can't think of anything.
I know we glossed over it just very briefly there, and we don't want to talk about it too much, but Bernie Ecclestone really needs to be careful when he says, I would take a bullet for Vladimir Putin, because Putin might take him seriously
it's quite a
on
high
that.
stake offer at the moment, isn't it? Because,
I mean, publicly offering is, on national television is brave at least.
I'm quite, I thought, did anyone read the comments Lewis said about the protesters?
I haven't.
Or Lewis and
Vettel,
I should say. Yeah, they sort of came out saying they respect the right to protest, but you've got to do it in a safe manner and stuff like that. And I get I get where they're coming from. But I think the problem I have with it is that I don't believe you're dealing with if you've got people running onto an active race circuit.
That is not a safe way of doing it.
No, but you're not dealing with normal protesters there. You're dealing with extremists.
Yeah.
Like literal extremists.
Yeah.
And
It was the stop oil lot as well, wasn't it? Which is strange.
Well, they dressed
For
as
many
marshals
reasons.
as well, so that they were
Yeah.
in orange and would blend in.
I mean, just the whole stop oil thing in general is it's an unreasonable request. It's like the band called Bring Me the Horizon. No, it's fucking impossible.
That isn't.
It makes total sense.
But
Maybe they wanted a copy of a science documentary series that used to be on BBC Two up to about 10 years ago.
It is a quote. It is a quote from Pirates of the Caribbean.
I also think that they clearly don't have any power in their houses, given that the power stations near their homes must be powered by fossil fuels.
Of course,
because they missed the what we spoke about last week about sustainable fuels in Formula One for 2026, and also that drop in fuel hopefully being used in road cars by 2030. I can't think of another technological advancement that's passed on from top level motorsport to road users in like less than 4 years. That's a ridiculously short amount of time for that to happen. And Formula One is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Like we said last week, it's all carbon offsets, and 99% of their carbon footprint comes from logistics and not the actual racing. But they're trying to do something about it. They're actively saying, look, we're responsible for this, so we need to try and do a bit more about it. Why don't they go and protest something that's not doing anything about it?
Yeah.
It doesn't accept any responsibility.
I agree. I think the problem I have with it is the hubris of it. It's there's over 100,000 people there to watch this race. These cars are going to go flying around a corner towards you at 60 miles an hour, and one's there going, no, I absolutely must stop this immediately because I have a point to make.
Apparently they thought the red flag was for them.
Like, no, something much more interesting is happening. You sit on the track and do fuck all.
Just
the cars were about 200 meters away from them when the red flag was thrown.
Yeah, just to close what I was going to say though, I do think, because I've noticed a couple of other Formula One journalists as well going down this avenue of it's the wrong way to do it, but I respect their right to protest and stuff like that. But I really don't think when you're dealing with, like I say, you're dealing with extremists, to even put words out which can be misstrewn as support. It's probably just best not to say anything.
Yeah,
just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to stop oil, go and stand in front of a diesel train.
Yes. Yeah.
There you go.
See how well that goes.
Are there any trains running at the minute? Because I thought they're all they'd all run out of staff.
Oh, it's a good point. Yeah, Mick Lynch has said no.
Yeah. While we're on the subject of sustainable fuels, though, Vettel doing a lap in the FW14B, which he's had converted to run on sustainable fuel, and it sounds exactly like it used to when it was running on petrol with extra lead.
Yeah, it hasn't got that much extra in it. Apparently, it's got a couple of extra filters, but yeah, it sounded fantastic.
I lost count of the number of tweets saying "bring back V12s" that I saw at that exact moment.
I think it's V10, isn't it? I think that Renault. I think
it's more V's
Possibly.
than the current number of V's.
More V's than there are at the moment. Yeah,
Facts.
More V's and more C's. Well, CC's. Yeah, it was good to see that on track. I didn't realise that Seb had actually bought it, because the reason that he bought it was the first car he saw win. And he's always wanted. He's always wanted.
That's
to
why
buy
he's got
it.
number 5 on his. Yeah, that's why he's got number 5 on his car as well.
Well, that car was red 5.
Yeah, but that's why he runs number 5 on his car.
Oh, was it
because of Mansell's Williams?
Never knew he was that much of a fan, but that makes it even cooler.
You don't remember the old Top Gear episode when he did an impression of Nigel Mansell?
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
May have to look that one up on YouTube. That one has that
good.
one's slipped
It's
my
good.
memory.
It's quite good.
Right, shall we go through the teams?
Let's.
Right.
Do it.
Alfa Romeo with a double DNF. Joe, obviously we've covered.
Yes.
The
DNF's at sort of polar ends of the spectrum, really, for sort of level of
Bottas
drama.
stopped in the pits. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we know why? Was that another technical issue with power unit for Alfa Romeo, or?
I think it was definitely something technical. Whether it was power unit or not, I do not know.
I have got the press release up here, and it was a gearbox issue, according to Fred Vasseur.
Okay. It's been power unit, hasn't it? Mostly when Guan Yu Zhou was actually retired.
Yeah, they just had sort of low-key, continual gremlins, I think.
Because they had all the problems with the anti-stall, and then they fixed that, and then something else happened.
Mm-hmm.
Just basically gearbox went. Bottas is just saying it's an issue, wasn't terminal at the time, but had to stop to prevent further damage.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think we had that with a couple of other cars as well, didn't we? Stopping to prevent further damage.
Well, now it's now the parts are even more limited. We're gonna see a lot more of that this season.
It wasn't Gasly a stop to prevent further damage. I haven't talked about him yet, but yeah.
Funnily enough, we're doing AlphaTauri next.
Well,
are we?
I mean,
Yes,
by
okay.
that point, he'd been hit by Russell and his teammate a couple of times. So he might have just had a bit of a, like, fuck it, can't be arsed.
Yeah, he.
I mean, it was a great bit of synchronisation that him and Tsunoda did when Tsunoda punted him.
Well, Tsunoda got the penalty, but to me it was a bit 50-50. I don't think it was completely Tsunoda's fault. I think Tsunoda was out and centering it a little bit, going for a gap that exists, but very quickly that gap didn't exist.
If you no longer go for a gap, Mr. Jackie.
We're saying that puts Tsunoda now up to 8 penalty points.
Yes,
Wow.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to have to go a little bit on the careful side. When do his next points disappear? Let me see. I've got to look on WTF1 because that's the first one that comes up. Tsunoda is not due to lose any. Tsunoda is not due to lose any points until November now. Oh, hang on. No, sorry, tell a lie. He lost 2 today, so he's back down to 6.
Okay, that's still quite a long stretch if November or the next one's coming off.
Yes, because he managed to get 2 in Austria last year. Both for crossing the white line at the pit entry. So, yes, it did put him onto 8 penalty points until yesterday when two of them got struck off this morning.
Okay, fine. But yeah, you don't want teammates hitting each other. Imagine they both probably got a rap on the knuckles for that. Gasly didn't finish the race. Shah makes a good point. He had been hit by multiple cars at that point, so it could have just been a case of this car is fucked. I'm just going to retire it.
I mean, it did look like they were going to have to do some serious work on the rear suspension. Not quite as much as they were going to have to do on Ocon's, but still a fair bit. And all in all, yeah, just not the weekend that AlphaTauri wanted.
They really struggle. They really struggle getting a weekend together sometimes, don't they, AlphaTauri?
Yeah.
Now and again, you get a driver that goes and does like a standout performance, but they're so inconsistent.
Yeah, you just don't know what version of them is going to turn up at any one time.
Yeah, I think we need to stop having the conversation at the beginning of the year now as well of whether AlphaTauri can be like third best team on the grid this year. I don't think this is ever going to happen.
No.
Well, they always look quite strong, don't they? Early doors, but maybe they're the new Force India in terms of bag sanding. But
maybe.
They are the team that's gone backwards quicker than anyone else, aren't they?
Yeah.
As the season's progressed.
It's so weird as well, isn't it? I mean, I know they run as their own team and stuff like that, but you know, when you've got the parent team, which is largely regardless of whether they get all the bits together in the right order to make the car the fastest car. It's always one of the best designed cars on the grid, and it's just weird how that just doesn't naturally filter down when you look
Yeah.
at how all of a sudden the connection and realistic, like quite loose connection that Alfa Romeo Sauber has with Ferrari, that's really pushed that team on. It's really that connection has really helped drag that team a bit further up the grid from where they were. It's just strange when you consider how long Toro Rosso / AlphaTauri has been in Formula One now as the sister team. It's weird. It's just weird why either they really don't put the funds into it for that to even be possible, or I just don't I don't understand, because it would make sense, wouldn't it? It would make more sense for Red Bull to really plow some money and effort into AlphaTauri and make that team like McLaren at least. It's if they were constantly in this sort of fifth, fourth sort of area of every Grand Prix, if you've got Max fighting at the front, those times where you have like Lewis or Charles Leclerc or whoever it happens to be, like in fifth or sixth, if you've got like an AlphaTauri in front of them constantly, that's more help towards your championship.
I mean, you're talking about the inconsistencies. Thanks to Haas getting 8th and 10th yesterday, AlphaTauri are now one of 2 teams without a double points finish in any race this season.
Wow, that's quite something.
The other one are Williams?
They are. Because Latifi.
But that's not right, is it? For a team like AlphaTauri not to have at least one double points finish, like a 9th and a 10th.
Yeah, you would have thought at some point.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But no, they haven't actually got double points all season, and we're now 10 races in.
That is mad.
It's quite something. Yeah. Do you think? I mean, is that more of a Tsunoda problem maybe than a AlphaTauri problem?
I don't know, because I mean,
Gasly's had some pretty bad results as well, hasn't he?
Tsunoda scored points in 3 races. Gasly has scored points in 3 races.
Yeah, no, it's fair then, isn't it? Do you think there's been a little bit of a change in Gasly since he's had to re-sign for that team?
Lost the will to live.
A little bit, yeah. I think maybe after his win last year and stuff, and realistically, an absolutely outstanding year for Gasly last year. With given the car he's got, to be completely overlooked again by Red Bull because he was clearly wanting to get back into that seat, and overlooked by other teams when there was a potential exit for him. I just wonder whether he's dropped his head a little bit.
Yeah, that's possible. I don't think he wants to stay there, does he? But in order to be in Formula One, he's kind of got to just sit there.
Yeah, he'd rather be there than nowhere.
I suppose. I mean, obviously, I don't know this because you don't know what goes on within teams, and I'm sure he gets. I know Franz Tost, for instance. I can never say his second name.
French toast.
Yeah. I know he's a big fan of him, isn't he? Like he said in the past that he thinks he deserves to be up there with the Russells and Leclerc's as far as the young drivers go. But if everybody's honest, he doesn't want to be in AlphaTauri. Realistically, Red Bull probably don't want him in AlphaTauri either. They just haven't got any other Red Bull drivers to plug in.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, if Max isn't going anywhere, he's contracted to like 2028 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Perez might go off the boil quite quickly. He might retire. They've got nobody else to put in that car, as you say. They had to look outside of the team to get Perez in. So when the time comes for Perez to go, I'd probably say at the moment Albon again.
Mm.
I mean, I'd look at Gasly. Of course I would, because I think Gasly's an ace driver, but are Red Bull likely to look at him? That's the thing, isn't it?
I think Albon's got more of a chance of getting back in that car than Gasly.
At the current moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Albon is doing better comparatively than Gasly is.
Yeah,
Albon's
absolutely.
gone to Williams and is kind of showing Williams that he was worthy of the upgrades this weekend ahead of Latifi.
Mm.
Mm. I don't actually think you can fault Albon.
No,
this
not at
year.
all.
He's showing the potential he showed in AlphaTauri before he got Red Bulled.
Yeah, the potential that got him into Red Bull,
Yeah.
not the potential that obviously did or did not keep him there.
Another one of the things as well, like I think the jumping out of the sorry, this will get back around to Albon. Jumping out of the Red Bull with jumping out of the Mercedes to go and check on Joe, and it always those comments that George Russell made about Albon, where he said, he's a world class driver, and Red Bull are making him look like an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
That always stuck with me as like Russell seemed like a good guy.
Yeah, and it was very un-Russell-ish as well. Like, I think at that point he was very sort of nice, cheery, chappy George, always saying sort of good things. So to be quite critical of a team was like, oh, okay, something's going on.
Especially when he might need to drive there one day.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm breathing in the wrong way. We are actually on Williams next, so we'll just carry on talking about... well, I mean, Albon we have covered, really.
Yeah.
Discharged from hospital late last night. Seems fine.
About 8:30.
Yeah.
Was taking selfies earlier on, so...
Good.
Doing well. And now it's a question of what bits of the car are they going to manage to salvage to run in Austria? Because, of course, don't forget, it's a 2-race weekend this weekend.
Yeah, but they're at Britain this weekend, so they hopefully can just load the truck up with some spares and get it down there.
It's more a question of whether
if
they've
they're
got
ready.
It's more a question of whether they've got the spares or not, according to Joska Peter.
Right. Okay.
He said it's a case of we're going to have to see. And then the one that some people have voted as driver of the day, Latifi.
Driver of the day, I don't know.
That feels a bit much.
I think they were being. I think they were being
No.
generous. They were being generous. I mean, he had his best qualifying performance. He actually ran in the race in the top 10 for the first time all season.
Yeah, but he's driving a bloody Williams, and he only dropped down to 12th. So I can understand why some people were like, Nicholas Latifi did well not to A, bin it, or B, fucking finish last 8 laps behind everyone. 8 laps is an exaggeration, obviously.
Well, he finished in front of 2 cars.
I'm with Flood.
Oh, I'm not saying he was my driver of the day. I'm saying he was a driver. You know,
I'm not. He wasn't my driver of Williams, and he was the only one that finished.
I mean, props to him for actually managing to survive qualifying without sticking it in a wall.
He was quick. I mean, he was quick in qualifying. There's no, no doubt about it. He in conditions that if someone said gun to head, how many pieces is his car going to be in by the time Saturday's finished? You wouldn't have gone one.
More than one, yeah.
Yeah, always multiples of that.
Right, I am going to quote some tweets from friend of the podcast and former co-host Kieran Thompson. Where are we?
Former co-host makes it sound like he's never doing this job again.
Occasional co-host, occasional co-host and resident pop expert. Right. We're going to a beer festival after qualifying. It finishes at 6. I beg, no rain. Cast condition elves are calling. First Canadian to bin it is going to be in my bad books.
Safe bet. It was a safe bet.
Oh, yeah, always is. You know, iffy weather conditions, there's going to be a Canadian in a wall at some point.
Or last stroll, as I heard him getting called over the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, all right. It was another Williams Latifi performance. Didn't get points. Right, Aston Martin.
Last Stroll.
Last Stroll.
Wasn't last though, was he? Let's be
No,
honest.
he was
No, he did all right in the race.
he was first place outside of the points.
the Esteban Gutierrez.
Number 1 on the bubbling under chart.
Yeah. See you at Goodwood in a few years, my friend.
Yeah, he had his usual qualifying performance.
See, this is the thing. If he could even do a half decent qualifying, he would
Well, the thing
be
is,
in the
it
points.
was wet. It was wet. He's really good in the wet.
Yeah.
He's really good in the wet, and he's really good on tracks that are pretty quick. Silverstone's a fast track. Like, Lance Stroll was on pole in Turkey when it was wet a couple of years ago. I think it was his only pole position.
Mm-hmm.
He's excelled in qualifying at Monza and then in the race as well when it was wet. In a Williams, which, let's be honest, wasn't very good. And yet he just disappeared at Silverstone.
But then again, so did Vettel in qualifying.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's a more car-centric issue than driver. Does the Aston Martin just not work in the rain? Because they had the same issue last week or 2 weeks ago in Canada.
I mean, it's only just started working better in the dry.
And it did work all right in the dry. Both of them in the race were fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Aston, I think there are issues. I mean, there are rumours flying around that Lawrence Stroll is ready to sell up to the first bidder.
The first or the highest?
I was going to say, I'm sure we can do a whip round.
The first sensible bidder, unfortunately. Patrons, put your hands back in your pockets. Although, hang on. Yeah, apparently Lawrence Stroll is ready to sell the team. And who'd have thought, buying a Formula 1 team for his son to play with was going to be a difficult prospect?
Aston Martin themselves are in a little bit of issue, are they not? The actual car company, entity, road car.
They've been
Aston
doing
Martin.
something to try and release money recently.
Let me.
Yeah, after Lawrence Stroll bought them out of their 7th time in administration.
Yeah, Aston Martin looks for new investors as financial troubles increase. This is from carbuzz.com. Don't know how reliable a source this is. I've not got a clue. But on the 1st of July...
Isn't that what Brummies call taxis? So used to
Carbuzz. Probably. It's over $1 billion of debt, Aston Martin, apparently.
Wow.
That's not a small amount, is it? Let's be honest.
No.
So, yeah, just having a quick scan. So, continue talking whilst I have a quick scan through this article to see if there's anything.
I mean, this is not all that long after they've, again, had a bit of a whip round and Toto Wolff seemed to put a load of money in. This is another sort of big push for investors.
Doesn't Toto Wolff own something like 5% of Aston
Something
Martin?
like that,
Ridiculous.
It's an amount.
Yeah.
It's an amount that you wouldn't think somebody like him would own, but
Yeah, it doesn't mention anything about the Formula 1 team, but if they are looking, because we know that Lawrence Stroll is the chairman of Aston Martin Road Cars and also the Formula 1 team, if they're looking to offload some pretty quick debts, let's be honest, because you don't make money in Formula 1 unless you're like the most successful team, and even then, it's probably just going straight back into the team. Then selling the team might save Aston Martin as a road car company.
Oh, Toto owns 4.8%.
Wow, so sorry, I wasn't
exaggerating
close enough,
by
apparently.
0.2.
Yeah, I think the only thing is that didn't Stroll essentially buy Aston Martin just to brand the Formula 1 team?
Yes.
Yes, he did it to brand the Formula 1 team, and also he thought about turning Aston Martin into a different style of road car manufacturer, which is why we've seen like the track cars, like the what's the other one called? You got the Valkyrie, which is a few years old now. Is it the Valhalla? The other one, big track cars, costing a lot of money. Nobody's buying them, so yeah, because in the current climate they're far too expensive. People are, for track cars, people are looking at McLarens and Ferraris. People aren't looking at Aston Martin for a track car.
Yeah, I mean
this is for our Lemonade Lifestyle friends again, isn't it? We said this last week.
It is. Mr. Drew, this is all your fault. We'll have to get them guys on here at some point.
Yeah, dual pod.
Yeah, we'll do a crossover episode. Yeah, but the problems that Aston Martin have been having, it's all been the little niggly stuff that you'd think they'd have been able to sort out. Things like the wrong tyre pressure, the wrong fuel temperature,
the wrong driver.
Well, yes. Yeah, interestingly enough, Stroll's contract is up for renewal at the end of this season. And
you mean he doesn't have a 12-year golden handcuff deal?
Funnily enough, no, and it surprised me that it was only on a short-term one, which just makes me think if there's any negotiations going on at the moment that we don't know about, is one of the clauses in there, the new owners will get to decide who the drivers are.
You would think they would want
quite possibly.
to, yeah.
We're thinking Audi then, are we? That would probably buy Aston Martin off of Lawrence Stroll.
Continue to be the favourites, I think.
But has Lawrence Stroll not just built a new factory for that team?
I assume he sells that with it.
Yeah, but right next door to where they were, as Jordan, all those years ago, is their new facility. So, yeah.
Get a team with a brand new facility. What better deal could you be looking for?
Come for the racing, stay for the canteen.
I mean, let's face it. It seems if Audi wanted to come in, it seems the best thing to do, doesn't it? Would be to buy Aston Martin.
Yeah, and
they said they wanted to buy an existing team rather than start one from the ground up.
Yeah, and then they'll be in a position to have the German dream team next year of Vettel and Hulk.
Nico Hulkenberg.
Still think
I suppose so. Actually, yeah, he's their reserve driver, isn't he? So it's not,
he is
now totally off the cards.
He is now bottom in the Drivers' Championship. I believe Latifi has now finally eclipsed him.
Yes. Latifi is now 20th out of a 21.
20th out of a 20-car championship.
Yeah, Hulkenberg slipped into that 21st spot.
Season's not over. There's still COVID to be had. But going across to the other side of the garage that can occasionally get something better out of the car. Vettel did all right. He's completely hamstrung by the car. I think he's still not 100% come to terms with it.
He doesn't. I don't think he thinks it's very good.
Well, he thinks it's good, or you don't think he thinks it's good?
I think he thinks it's shit, but he just doesn't want to say.
It's renegotiation year, isn't it?
Well,
I think every year is renegotiation year.
But you didn't really see a lot of that on the TV coverage, mainly because there was more exciting battles going on.
I mean, he made spaces up. He avoided a lot of the shit, didn't he, on that first lap, and then consistently made spaces up as the race went on. He didn't.
Well, you say he avoided the shit on the first lap. He was kind of involved in 50% of it when he had nowhere to go apart from Albon's gearbox.
Yeah, he's responsible for us. Not responsible. He hit Alex Albon, which put Albon into the wall. But his car was undamaged, from what I could tell. You know, he didn't have to troll back to the pits with, two wheels or anything like that.
Yeah, it was straight front wing, wasn't it? So new front wing for him, and that should have been fine.
So, I don't know. What I thought was quite telling was that Vettel finishing 9th and his protege, if you will, Mick Schumacher, well up the road from him in 8th place, fighting Max Verstappen for 7th. And Vettel apparently in the last 2 laps was watching the TV screens as he was going round and cheering Mick Schumacher on from inside his car.
Now, the last time there was a reference to Vettel watching the TV screens, it was when he was that far in the lead in a Red Bull that he was watching the screens just for entertainment.
He was asking how somebody got a fastest lap, wasn't he? I can't remember who it was now. Yeah, back in the days when Vettel would set the fastest lap on the final lap of the race. I mean, he really didn't need to.
Yeah, no points. Just no. I've been bored for 30 laps. I'm just going to do something now.
Yeah.
Right, where do we go on to from here? Haas.
It is on to Haas, yeah. So
It is.
double points.
Double points for, God, the first time since...
Well, definitely the first time in the Mick Schumacher era, because his first points ever.
Yeah, first time since 2018 or 2019.
Germany 2019 was the last double points finish.
Jesus, that's a while back.
So
So Magnussen 10th, Mick Schumacher 8th. Mick Schumacher's first points in Formula 1.
It was a good battle that Mick was having with Max towards the end.
It was, and I thought he was a bit more mature and sensible because obviously he knew if he got it wrong or if Max was, let's be honest, being Max, that it'd be quite easy for Mick Schumacher to end up with no points again, like he did in Miami.
I think that's basically the position that Max put him in, wasn't it? Max kind of put him in that position of, look, we can have an accident here if you don't,
Or you can finish 8th, yeah.
or you can get some points because I need every point I can get.
Yeah, I'm just looking. There was let's have a look. I don't know where this has come from. Jeff sent us this on a tweet from F1 Shade Room. According to Max, about his battle with Mick Schumacher, I was like, well, he has to back off now, otherwise we're both out. Luckily, he's smart enough.
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound like a very Max kind of...
It does.
That's almost Schumacher levels of arrogance, like Michael Schumacher levels of arrogance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Max is quite at the point where he can back up that level of ballsiness out on the track just yet. Especially not in a damaged car.
No.
I mean, if
he
you'd said...
What was it? He had Gasly's end plate in his floor.
Excuse me.
Is that what it was?
Mm.
If you'd said after last year's British Grand Prix, oh, never mind, Max, you'll be fighting Mick Schumacher in the Haas next year. I don't think he would have come back. But it just goes to show, doesn't it, what an improvement Haas have made by not concentrating in 2021 at all whatsoever. Double points finish is fantastic for them and was impossible last year.
Points finish was impossible for them last year.
Yes. Yeah, so well done to Mick Schumacher. And as I said before, when we were talking about that first lap incident, the on-board from Kevin Magnussen, who I think started on the last row of the grid, the weaving his way through everything and not hitting a single thing. I watched his on-board, and then after he got through the first turn, I said out loud, "Fucking hell, Kevin! Have you bought a lottery ticket today?"
he did probably a mix of very well and just very, very lucky.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a better K-Mag since he's come back. I think that year off has actually done him the world of good.
He's a good driver. He just probably had a shit car for most of the time he was at Haas.
Shit car, and I think shit situation as well. With when he's had
Grosjean.
Apart from Haas gave him a little bit of stability, but apart from that, because McLaren threw him away
on his birthday.
Yeah, did he go to Renault after that? Was he in Renault for a hot minute?
Yeah.
That vaguely sounds familiar.
Yeah, Renault threw him away, and Haas gave him some stability, but then he didn't get on with Grosjean, did he? And they had like quite the time together. Which looking at the way I always used to sort of kind of call both those drivers, and you say, well, it's time they looked for a whole new lineup. But it's Grosjean has been a consistently crashy one. Maybe Magnussen was just unfortunate to be sort of a pretty aggressive racer, and given where his cars were, he was always on track next to a crashy Grosjean, so it's not ideal.
Yeah.
For anyone that didn't see last night's IndyCar race last night, have a look for the highlights, especially Grosjean's team radio, when after he'd already been punted off once.
Wasn't happy, was he?
Oh no, we had Prime Grosjean back.
Amazing.
He wanted
Little
to
stat about Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen was, and I think he might still be, the only driver to have driven all 4 power units in the turbo hybrid era.
Well, that's fun.
Yes, because
He did Mercedes and Honda at McLaren. He then went to Renault, and then he drove the Ferrari at Haas.
So yeah, he will be the only one.
I don't think anybody else has driven all 4. Valtteri Bottas has got 2 or 3. I can't remember. Anyway.
Don't think Bottas has ever driven a Renault, has he?
No, he won't have done.
Oh, no, it was they were Williams Renault when he joined, but that was pre-turbo hybrid.
Yes. Yeah, because I think Williams have been Mercedes since the hybrid era started, haven't they?
Yeah, I think
That's why
so.
they were good at first.
Yes. Right, next up, McLaren.
Nondescript. I mean, Lando Norris had a pretty decent Sunday. The pace clearly isn't quite there in that McLaren, but hello, cat. Whose cat is that?
That was Dizzy.
I just
Oh,
launched
okay.
the cat so I could sit up a bit better and not cough
okay.
a lot. I do apologise for my cough.
No, that's all right. It was the cat more than anything. The cat sounded like she was right on the microphone there.
I don't apologise
yeah.
for the cat. She's alone to herself.
Yeah, Lando had a fantastic Sunday. Is Danny Rick still struggling? I watched one of Scott Mansell's videos on Danny Ricciardo, Driver 61 on YouTube. He's really interested in Scarbs, takes part in a lot of Scott's videos as well. And as to why, the video basically explains why Ricciardo's driving style doesn't work at McLaren. I'm not going to explain it now. Go and watch the video. It's really cool.
Yeah, because he's not performing.
There's no, as far as I can see, there's no real obvious outsider looking in reason for the gap we saw between them this weekend.
Yeah.
There was no
As a
big issue.
friend of the podcast, Scarbs, explains it quite well as to what the technical issue is at McLaren, and then Scott Mansell describes why Daniel Ricciardo's driving style doesn't work with that setup.
They're going to have to make wholesale changes for next year for that car, but is it going to compromise Lando? Because I mean, Danny's saying that he will be there next year.
Yeah, well, I think that's the case because if Gasly's not going anywhere, I think he was prime target for McLaren if Ricciardo was leaving or getting kicked out.
I mean,
so I think
madcap theory. McLaren has considerably more drivers than seats at the moment because they've signed Alex Rossi. They're keeping Pato
in
IndyCar. Well, that's the thing. They're signed to
That's
McLaren.
the thing, but in the McLaren family, not many of these drivers have super license.
Does Rosenquist have one?
So Rosenquist they've signed, but they haven't specified to which team.
No, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, they've also got
Rosenquist does not have a super license.
They've also got Pato O'Ward, who I actually think does qualify because he's done the mileage in an F1 car.
Potentially.
Alex Rossi, I think, is one test away from getting his super license.
Because he will obviously have had one previously, but yeah.
But after 3 years of inactivity, that's when it expires. So
Nobody tell Kamui Kobayashi.
he will make that comeback. So they've got more drivers than they have seats.
I think you've got to look at what McLaren is as an organisation now, and the way they go about being McLaren. Like the way McLaren, let's say orange, like the McLaren orange rather than McLaren silver, for instance, go about things very differently. I think branding is so important to McLaren now. Like it's almost in like a not a well, kind of is almost like Ferrari. You know, like we've always said that Ferrari are a team to sell T-shirts, not cars. You know, Ferrari try and sell a
Cufflinks.
lifestyle. Yeah,
Yes.
I think McLaren do the same thing now, but they're doing it in like a hipper, trendier, cool,
Sort of slightly younger.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine the brand power it would have if you had Lando Norris, which is like one of the most popular young drivers on the grid? And I think when you watch the McLaren like YouTube stuff, Lando's stopped McLaren YouTube videos being cringe because he understands that world. He understands that demographic. And but if you had that, and then with the extra US races we have, you get a driver in which is a known driver in America through IndyCar. I think that's gonna be pretty fucking attractive to McLaren.
Oh yeah, I mean you look at Alex Rossi. You know, he's American. He's won the Indy 500.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, let's just go through their IndyCar drivers again, because they have committed to run 3 cars in Indy next year and their Formula E team. So they definitely have Rossi and O'Ward signed to IndyCar at this point. And then
Juan Pablo Montoya was in the McLaren garage this weekend.
he drives for Zach Brown's team, doesn't he?
No, Formula 1 2023 comeback.
Love to see it. So yeah, Rosenqvist officially is signed to the McLaren family, but the hot rumour they were talking about during the IndyCar coverage last night is that McLaren want a bigger name in the IndyCar team and are prepared to palm Rosenqvist off to Formula E if they can get a bigger name. Don't know who the bigger name is. So that's
Daniel
where
Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo would be a big name.
Yeah, I mean, who are McLaren's current drivers in Formula E?
Is Formula E not a new thing for them?
It's
year?
it's next year. They bought the Mercedes team, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they've bought the Mercedes team, so it would have been Nick De Vries and Stoffel Van Dorn. Familiar, anyone?
Stuff they don't want already.
I mean, I suppose. See, the thing is, I know Pato O'Ward because I still think he might find himself in Formula One. I know he's contracted to IndyCar, but like we say, it's McLaren. I'm sure if they suddenly decided they needed another Formula One driver, McLaren could organise the release of Pato O'Ward to go to McLaren.
They could Red Bull their drivers, I suppose, quite easily and then shuffle them about a bit.
I've just seen a picture on Twitter of Valtteri Bottas with Sam Ryder. Are they brothers?
This was rumoured throughout Eurovision, wasn't it? That they've never been seen together.
Well, apparently they have now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and Sam Ryder managing to change the national anthem from God Save the Queen to I Want to Sound
it
Like
was busy.
Queen.
It was a fucking busy anthem.
I didn't like it.
It was just silly.
I enjoyed
silly.
it for being a bit weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't mind silly. It's when it's just pure over the top. To be fair, I don't know that we need national anthems at the beginning of every race. That
you
was
know
Vladimir
where you are.
Putin who actually.
Well, they always used to have
that, didn't they?
They always used to have the national anthem. It's just that Putin insisted on the drivers coming to the front, which is why we called it the Putin Parade.
Yeah, yeah. And now they get fined if they're not there in time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm battling with a cat here.
How many cats have you got?
One, but they're all dizzy.
Well, we've got 2 cats.
Yes. One dizzy.
1,500 dizzies and Bruno.
Who's keeping himself
Or
to
Bruno.
himself.
It's always the quiet one you need to worry about the most. That's the problem. So yeah, Lando ended up having a decent time of things. Qualified 6th, finished 6th.
It was a shame. He should have been fifth. Kind of got mugged by Alonso because of poor strategy, really, didn't he?
Who? Lando?
Yeah.
He finished.
Well, yeah, he had to make a pit stop, and they kind of hung him out a little bit longer than they needed to, didn't they?
Yeah, gave Alonso track position. If they should have just. I don't understand why they didn't bring him in when the safety car came out.
No. There's a cat on a wine rack. Cat on a wine rack.
Oh my God, gonna hit pause.
This is a big problem.
Yeah, sorry about that jump cut, but check our Twitter and look for the hashtag #PodCat on a wine rack, just to see the drama that Dizzy was causing. Where were we? Had we finished with McLaren?
I think so.
We
Yeah,
spoke.
I
think so. Yeah.
I don't think I have more to add on McLaren.
Is it Alpine up next?
It
Was
is,
it just
yes.
just quickly? Well, just quickly, was this the biggest gap between Ricardo and
It feels like,
Norris we've seen?
without looking it up, I would say biggest non-shenanigans gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's been bigger gaps in the season, but especially in the very early races. But I wouldn't be so sure. But we need a stat man.
Right, quick before we move off the man, what kind of because we are sort of approaching midway through the season. What do you guys think? Do you guys think he's going to be in a car next year, or in a McLaren next year?
Yeah,
I think he will
so.
be.
I think so. He said he as good as is.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in the car. I think this is Daniel Ricciardo's last season in Formula One.
Oh, and with looking it up, it was the joint biggest gap, 6th to 13th. They also did it in Monaco.
Yeah, I don't see unless he can get his frame in a team lower down the grid like a Haas or an Aston Martin. I just don't see he's not he's just not valuable enough for McLaren.
He's not sort of the bankable name he was when he went to Renault, is he?
No, and realistically, he wasn't the bankable name in Renault. He hasn't been sort of Daniel Ricciardo. Like I know there was been a race win in between a couple of podiums, but he hasn't been the Daniel Ricciardo throwing an overtake up from 5 miles back for quite some time. It's a shame. I like Daniel Ricciardo, but I just don't. I don't see when you've got someone like Lando doing so well. You know, it's and he's just up there on his own most of the time.
He did have his DRS brake on him, so that wasn't usable for most of the race this week.
That's not ideal. But the thing is, he was already down there. I think maybe that stopped him trying to claw his way back up. But he was already so far back before the race started. There's only so much. You know, there's only so many excuses that you can give.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying in 14th. You know that's McLaren Honda levels of qualifying.
Well, Vettel made an early stop, and after he did, he was level on track with Ricciardo for quite a while, and yet has obviously gone quite a bit further forward from there.
Yeah, 5 more places. Or 4 more places. It's a tough one. Right. Alpine. Ocon, we know what happened at the start.
yeah, but do we think that was the reason that his eventual retirement? There's some kind of gearbox failure, wasn't there, or something?
Is it fuel pressure?
It was the fuel pump. The fuel pump went and it just
I thought it was gearbox because he was stuck in second.
I think he might have ended up in second just to try and coast home. But yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it was directly caused by what happened at the start. I can't imagine that will have helped the car any. But yeah, just a very unfortunate day, I think, for him.
Yeah, caught up in everything, and then just he seemed to be running okay. Didn't appear to have any major damage from that, but the car let go.
Yeah, I think probably was he in and around arse end of the points.
Yeah, I think it was sort of.
He just passed Max Verstappen when his car went.
Of course he had, yes.
Yes, because he got past him, and all of a sudden Max comes back, and it's like, oh, Max is trying again now. Oh no, everyone's passing Ocon. Alonso, on the other hand, one of his
quietly decent race. He did a Carlos Sainz.
Yeah,
he did.
Got on with it, and this didn't actually get mentioned during the TV coverage because things were a little bit too busy at the time, according to Statman. But Alonso has now driven the most distance in Grand Prix history.
Oh.
The equivalent of 2,195 marathons.
That's a strange system of measurement.
It is.
It is, yeah. Like I learned this past week, that the Germans have a word, which is Dreikäsehock.
What?
Which
Is that
Dreikäsehock?
3 cheese high.
3 cheese high used to describe a small child.
It depends how high your cheese is.
No
your
taller
child.
than 3 wheels of cheese.
That's incredible.
Well, Hello Kitty and the Smurfs measured in apples.
Apple is more of a fixed measure of unit, though, than a cheese. Like, are we talking about a Baby Bell, or are we talking about one of those great big wheels that are like the size of a fucking car wheel?
I think it's a car wheel of cheese. Yeah, Dreikäsehock.
I'm going for
3 cheese high.
I'm going for, and this is going back a while, more than a frog's worth.
17 bottles worth. Dan would have got that one if he was here.
The other stat for the distance Alonso's driven is 54.2 million Alonso's laid out tip to toe.
See, he's quite wee, I think.
Who the
isn't he?
fuck is working this shit out?
Sean, I'm assuming Sean.
Well, it's an official F1 infographic, and who's the official F1 statistician?
It's a long flight across the Atlantic. You've got a lot of time to do these maths.
Oh my god.
But yes, he completely scienced it. Just one minute the race is going on, the next minute it's finishing. It's like, oh shit, Alonso's fifth.
Yeah, but during the safety car, after the safety car had come in, when there was that huge battle going on, Leclerc and Perez and Hamilton got involved. At one point, Alonso was getting involved with Hamilton.
Yeah. I think he potentially could have caught Leclerc if there'd been an extra couple of laps. He wasn't far off.
Let's have a look. What was the gap at the end? A second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a couple of laps maybe he might have got through.
Yeah, I think we're now we've now hit the point we're seeing the all right, yeah, he's done the right thing by coming back. Because start of the season, I have to admit I was a little bit sceptical.
I don't know if he's done the right thing by coming back or not, because he's still nowhere near a championship, is he?
He hasn't been near a championship since the second time he left Renault.
No, he had
Oh, the first time
year with
No,
Ferrari, didn't he?
2012, wasn't
The
it?
year
2012,
Vettel ended
he
up
was
backwards
close.
in Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah, that was 2012, wasn't it? When Bruno Senna tagged Vettel, and it looked like Alonso was going to win the championship in the last race. Then Vettel just did his Vetteling thing.
Mm. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean not in with the hope of win since he left Ferrari, not his second time with Renault. It's easy to lose track how many times he's been at Enstone. But yeah, he's getting better. But do Renault have a championship-winning car yet? Do Alpine have a championship-winning car yet?
No, I saw another Alpine in the wild yesterday. Yesterday, yeah, actual Alpine. That blue is beautiful. If that's the color of the Formula One cars are in real life, that's awesome. I really, really like the color.
I've got to admit, I'm not. I don't think I've ever seen a proper Alpine.
No, I don't believe I have.
I've seen. It might be the same one twice, but I've seen 2.
Or it could be the first one and its mate.
Maybe.
You know, maybe the hunt in pairs. I don't know. Right, Mercedes. We're into the top 3.
Yeah, I've still managed to put Mercedes as the 3rd best team, despite the fact they had a much improved weekend.
Yeah, I mean, that was lap 1 aside. That was the strongest showing from Mercedes this season.
Barcelona as well. I think they were on par with Barcelona.
It's definitely trending in the right direction for them, isn't it? Like they are. I think
Barcelona,
gonna be...
they didn't understand though, did they? That was the thing. They were like, we don't know why we're this quick here. whereas they brought the upgrades to Silverstone. They're like, we think this is going to do this, and it has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. And it's not just a case of Barcelona and Silverstone being similar circuits.
At the well, there's fewer low speed corners at Silverstone than there are in Barcelona.
They're both smooth as fuck, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the gouge Joe's halo has left in the track.
Well, apart from that.
Yeah, smooth race circuits appear to be the friend to the Mercedes, and which is what we've got a lot coming up of now, I suppose, going all the way through the summer, sort of in towards September, October time.
Yeah, I mean it's Singapore that's going to be the next street track.
Yeah. So, well, I've lost my train of thought there, but yeah,
Mercedes improvement.
Mercedes have improved, and I'm at the potential of incurring Lee's wrath here. I agree with what Matty from WTF1 said, where it's just like, I don't care what anyone says.
You're lucky he's only number 2 on the list.
He said that race was much better for having Lewis Hamilton mixing it with the Ferraris at the front.
Yeah,
rather than it just being, because the Red Bulls kind of dropped away from the fight a little bit. Obviously, Perez managed to come back with a safety car.
Mm-hmm.
I think the discouraging thing is how quick the Red Bull was. In a straight fight, Max Verstappen destroys the field, and Perez works his way up to second.
I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that Verstappen's going to walk probably the rest of this championship unless something incredible happens.
Unless Mercedes can stop them, because Ferrari are incompetent beyond measure.
Their best strategist is Carlos Sainz. Does Carlos Sainz get paid double when he gets strategy right?
Because he is doing more work than anyone else in that area, in that team.
Yeah, so there's a strategist in the garage going, we need to do this, and then there's a driver out there who goes, absolutely not.
And gets it right.
And stop inventing things.
Yeah, twice. Yeah, stop inventing things. Yeah, stop inventing things, guys. Come on.
But I mean, that was.
I was going to say that Mercedes, Russell was over quite quickly, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean that was Mercedes' first fastest lap of the season,
and the first time that Lewis has led a lap of a race since Abu Dhabi last year.
Mm.
So yeah, okay. I think the circuit played into it, but I mean, for one, who would have thought that an actual circuit that's designed to have racing on would be better for racing than some barriers thrown up around a city centre? Shocker.
Yeah, but Formula One's been doing both for a long time. You can't just build your car to go well at Silverstone.
Yeah,
that's not Formula One.
No, true. But yeah, it looks like Mercedes have actually worked out how to get something out of the car. Although they did say during the weekend, don't rule out them changing the concept completely at some point this year and going back to having full side pods again.
If they can figure out how to make them work.
Well, that's the thing they appeared to do in the shakedown, but who knows? Because there was not a lot released from that.
Yeah.
But if they can get this concept working, it's gonna be the one until 2026.
Mm.
And if they can't get it working, it's gonna be a long 5 years. But
yeah, I mean, it's not totally locked in, is it? It's just that, yeah, it's
yeah, I mean,
it
seems to be working for now. Let's see where we are in Belgium, because that'll tell us who's quick.
Yeah, Belgium's quite similar. Again, just couple of slow corners, but nothing too dissimilar to from last horse maybe. But yeah, that's a good comparison, I think. And Monza as well. Monza will be an interesting one. I think Red Bull will probably piss it, to be honest with you.
Well, the stands will be full of Max fans in Belgium. Then they'll all go to Zandvoort, and then they'll probably wake up in Monza. Right.
You made that sound like they get kidnapped by Ferrari.
And deposited at a track.
Well, no, that's, they'll wake up after the party and like, where the hell am I? Oh, Italy, another Grand Prix. That'll do. It is Red Bull next. Two damaged cars.
Did you say that it was Gasly's wing plate that got stuck in Max's floor?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I thought when he went over the curb, I thought he damaged his floor because he was very aggressive over the curbs, and we all know from past races at Silverstone, those curbs are harsh.
Yes.
Usually on tyres, but I mean, obviously, if you catch a bit of bodywork on it, it's probably gonna come off worse.
Yeah, don't forget the cars run a hell of a lot lower this year, so there's more chance of catching the floor on the curbs than there is, because the suspension compression at speed is much more than it was for the last few years. And with the new floor regulations, the floor's dropping. I've not seen sparks come out of the back corners of the floor before when cars are on the straight. It's normally from the middle, or
they do have skid blocks as well, don't they? I think they are on the corner of the floor. They might need Scarbs to give us a bit of a tip on exactly where they are.
Yeah, but like I say, the sparks usually come out the middle, not at the corners. No, I noticed a lot of cars sparking from the corners, which just shows how low they're actually running, even with the skid blocks on. But yeah, apparently when Max got what he said was the puncture, he ran over debris, and apparently it was a bit of Gasly's end plate that had come off.
He was very slow, very quickly, wasn't he? Like Sainz breezed past him.
Yeah, he had absolutely nothing, and then for the sort of 5-10 laps between the pit stop and the safety car, he sounded like he wanted to retire it.
Yeah, he did not sound impressed, did he?
There was a lot of radio saying
100% broken.
Yeah, that was one.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know why we're doing this.
He was struggling for grip, but he finished 7th. Finishing 7th gets you, 5 points? Something like that. Yeah, 5 points, I think. Still better than, for his championship, still better than not scoring any points.
Yeah, I mean, he managed to, sort of mitigate the loss to, it's now Perez, but Leclerc.
It was a good drive from Max, I think, just to get points. Because I thought he was going to fall out of the points.
He did look it at one point, and I think without the safety car, there would have been every chance of him not making it. And I think they would have brought him in if he dropped down to 11th. I just get the feeling that they would have definitely given up on it then. But then that would have put Lance Stroll in the points, and nobody wants that.
No, absolutely not.
Last Stroll.
That occurred to me. Didn't occur to me. 19th and 20th in the championship are both Canadians. Oh, Canada.
That was, I mean, it would have been a good drive for Lance if he had scored points, considering he started last.
Yeah, but he didn't, so he didn't have one.
Yeah.
Perez, on the other hand, did benefit from the safety car. Definitely,
yeah, he was like 20 odd seconds
out
behind, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was really struggling, but again, he'd had damage since the start.
Well, no, he came in and changed his wing, that's what put him down the order.
But no, he was apparently he had floor damage as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that Perez had floor damage, but I mean, his car was like a rocket that after the safety car.
Yeah, I'm just looking it up, just trying to find trying to find a quote, but yeah, apparently he was damaged. Let's have a look at this particular one, see if that's in the site I'm not going to mention. Yada yada yada. No, it's bollocks. I can't be bothered reading it. Yeah, I just saw that he'd got damaged, but yeah, he became rapid, benefited from the safety car, and did what he's meant to do as a number 2 driver. Which is, if the number 1 isn't there, the number 2 has to be as far up as possible, preferably winning it, but
and disrupt the championship leader. Well, the championship rival, in Charles Leclerc, in which he totally did, because it was a Ferrari 1-2. Then the other Ferrari overtook a Ferrari, and then a Red Bull overtook a Ferrari. Yeah, so he did the right thing for his team as well as for himself.
Yeah.
Leclerc didn't even finish on the podium, and that's partly because Sergio Perez managed to get past him.
Yeah, I mean, some of those battles, like say the double pass with Hamilton, which
was amazing. That got me off my seat.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I think that was around about the time I had the 114 pulse, which is a new record for me in F1.
Yeah, what was it? Baku was the previous record holder?
Yes, at 93.
I'm glad the stewards weren't too strict in terms of like track limits and pushing people off the circuit, because there were a couple of questionable ones, but they were hard racing rather than deliberately get off the track so I can overtake you.
Yeah, no, it was good to see. It was actually, and I think this is down to the new regulations. It was good to see cars able to go wheel to wheel, nose to tail, and fight.
Yeah, but it was great when Hamilton went through. I actually thought for a few seconds, oh my God, is he going to chase down Charles Leclerc here and win this race? Sorry, not Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz. Mm-hmm. So he's going to get him, isn't he? He's going to actually have the race win here, and then obviously a couple of seconds later, Perez and Leclerc both went past. And then obviously you had to get Leclerc again.
But I mean, when those three were fighting it out, I was partially convinced it was going to be Alonso and Norris on the podium.
Yeah, because they were going to take each other out. Yeah. I thought the two Ferraris might take each other out.
Alonso looked really racy for a minute there, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
Yeah, for a few seconds good. he was on Hamilton's tail, which was fantastic to see.
But I mean, it's just great to be able to actually watch proper racing in F1 again, because we've not been able to have this for a while.
No, but I mean, if you didn't get the safety car, it's quite possible Lewis Hamilton would have caught the Ferraris and passed them on his fresher tyres. That would have been a battle that would have been really good to see. But as it happened, Esteban Ocon did retire on the circuit. We got the safety car, and we got an absolutely amazing end to the race. All right, Sainz did kind of disappear by a few seconds into the lead, but Perez, Leclerc, Hamilton, Alonso, Norris, you had no idea who was going to finish where out of that train for a good 5 laps.
Well, I think Sainz's gap to the cars behind was actually helped by the fact that they were all battling with each other. Meanwhile, he's not involved in the fight, so he just concentrates on banging the laps in, while everyone behind him can't really think about fast laps because they're having to both attack and defend at the same time. Yeah,
and like I said in my tweet yesterday, nobody was unhappy with Carlos Sainz winning that race, were they?
Not in the slightest.
No.
Actually, one person.
Charles.
Yes.
Yeah, Charles did not look happy. The talking to from Bonotto the second he was out of the car.
I think he was trying to... I think he's got it right because they had 11 seconds to pull Leclerc into the pits, and there was no call. They didn't call Leclerc into pits. They called Carlos Sainz in, but not Charles Leclerc.
I mean, Bonotto explained it, that they kept Leclerc out because he was on newer tyres, and he had the track position.
Yeah, but there's enough room to double stack them and not lose any spaces.
Apparently they didn't want to risk it, which, if you're Ferrari... I'd call that erring on the side of caution, because we all know that Ferrari will, at some point, implode during any given weekend.
They did. They did this weekend.
Yeah. And
Carlos Sainz won them the race. Let's not beat around the bush. Yes, Ferrari won, but it was Carlos Sainz that won that race. If he'd followed the team's instructions, they would have finished third and fourth.
Right. I fucking hate saying this because I'm not a big fan of multi-21s and this man is faster than you. Ferrari fucked themselves when they didn't allow Leclerc past early doors in that race.
they did
So that
hang,
you could
they
build a
did
big
hang
enough
on with
gap.
that for quite a few laps.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like let's not forget, Sainz. I'm happy he won his first race. Don't get at me. The man's got fabulous hair. You know, I have a soft spot for Sainz. He did not deserve to win that race. He was done off the first start. He was caught by his fucking teammate. Oh, sorry, but before he was caught by his teammate, after. Either way, he was forced into a mistake by Max Verstappen by when he just drove clean off the track.
Was that mistake? Was that wind or was that mistake?
It was a mistake. That was a mistake. That was Max Verstappen putting pressure on Carlos Sainz, and Carlos Sainz fucked it.
He didn't drive off the track. The back did slide out on him. He had to turn left halfway through the corner.
Yeah, it slid out on him, but it slid out on him because he was being pushed. He was pushed into a mistake, I believe. And then on top of all that, Charles Leclerc was pushing Carlos Sainz around with a broken wing. Right. I mean, that's the fact that your championship
Wasn't that by Monsieur?
Yeah, but your championship leading driver is sort of pushing your de facto number two and saying, look, I can go quicker than this. And you're constantly radio and Carlos going, we need these laps out of you. We need these laps out of you. He's like, going, one more lap, one more lap. Meanwhile, Hamilton is catching them at a vast rate of knots. The only sensible thing to do in that situation was to allow Leclerc through, to let him go and see if he could build a gap up for a charge in Hamilton, because Hamilton was quicker than Sainz. You know, it was all these things that added up, and it was just look after look after look that allowed Carlos Sainz to win that race. Fair enough, the last call was his, but Ferrari's biggest mistake wasn't not pitting Charles Leclerc at the right time. It was not allowing Charles Leclerc to win the race early doors.
I'm not seeing anything official on Twitter here or anything, but a lot of people saying that it was the gust of wind for Sainz and also for Max Verstappen running wide at Copse when he actually damaged his car. So that would have been roughly the same kind of turning direction.
Max Verstappen himself said the reason he ran wide was because when he had to drive round Carlos Sainz, it put him off position. And he had nowhere to go but to run over David.
No, it was a totally different part of the race.
All right, okay.
I mean, basically, I'm saying Ferrari actually.
But that's after that. Oh, sorry, Paul. But that would have been after Verstappen's car was broken.
No, Sainz was ahead of Verstappen.
Yeah.
Sainz went off the circuit. Verstappen overtook him, and then a few laps later, that sounds like cat drama again.
It is.
It's fine. We're just
A few
ignoring
laps
it.
later, Verstappen ran wide at Copse.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where he picked up his. So they would have been turning roughly the same. Yeah, they would have been turning roughly the same angle. So if there was a wind blowing in that direction, it could have caught them both out. But again, I'm not seeing anything official here at all whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm edging towards pushed into making a mistake.
Yeah, just a momentary lapse under a bit of pressure.
I mean, Ferrari can actually manage to win the race and fuck themselves at the same time. It's impressive.
It's the Ferrari way. This is not news.
You know, I mean, it would have been. I was hoping that Leclerc hung on to get a podium because I wanted to see that cool down room.
Yes, would have been tense, I think.
You know, this would have been more than hat tossing. But yeah, be a fly on the wall during the team debrief. I'm hoping that Netflix were in there. You never know; we might get honest footage out of them at some point.
I don't know. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with Drive to Survive.
Yeah, apparently the next series is going to be a lot more honest. Couldn't be much less honest.
Well, yeah, that was a problem. Like the first few Drive to Survives were fun because it was kind of chop edited to sort of fit a kind of narrative. But then the last one, because of the build up that they'd had for the last few, I think they just went way too far with the last Drive to Survive. So reeling it back in, I think, is going to do one of two things. It's either going to be like people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, no, that was much more realistic," or people are going to go, "It was shit."
Oh, where's all the drama?
Yeah.
Yeah, Netflix didn't invent it this year. Sorry. So rock stars and wankers. Obviously, we said that the Halo instant pass were a rock star.
Yeah.
George Russell for going straight to Guan Yu Zhou.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mick Schumacher for getting points and getting elbowsy.
Yep.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely agree with that.
Lewis
Fernando
Hamilton.
Norris, Fernando Alonso, Sergio Perez.
Yeah, that was all. I mean, I know it was a win and not a world championship, but that was like almost the arrival on the scene of Kimi Räikkönen when he won his world championship. It was just all of a sudden, it was like, where's Perez come to, and how does he look like he might win this race now?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've got to give one for Sainz for the win and his post race hair, which is always spectacular.
Yeah.
The Marshals.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
Sebastian
very
Vettel.
Busy day for the Marshals.
Vettel for taking his own FW14 round the circuit.
Definitely. Wankers. Ferrari strategists.
Yes.
Yes.
Why are you employed?
Well, is it employed or are they just turning up and phoning it in?
Who knows? It is crazy. Like it's so consistent as well.
What, that Ferrari will fuck up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, like it must need a complete change.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
sorry, go on, Sean.
I was going to say, at no point when they had the 1-2 on track did I, or probably any of you lot, think they were actually going to finish with a 1-2.
No.
You just knew. You knew something was going to go tits up.
Yeah, it's Ferrari come to expect it. I mean, all right, Lee, you say, yeah, they need a complete change. Well, they keep doing that every 4 or 5 years, and it still hasn't worked.
Well, but that's the thing. Are they, or were they just changing the figurehead? To me, it feels like all they've been doing is changing the band-aid and expecting every time they change the band-aid for it not to be gangrenous underneath.
Yeah, it could.
What you're saying is Ferrari need to quit Formula One?
Maybe not quit Formula One. Maybe
work out what modern Formula One needs, and then act on it.
Yeah, maybe.
Even Dizzy, even Dizzy agrees.
There's something, because right now it doesn't matter who you get in. I mean, I don't think Charles Leclerc might be a Formula One world champion in the future. I'm yet to be convinced. I know he's a very good driver. That's obviously, like, clearly obvious. But I'm still not convinced that he's the man to win one with Ferrari, because when you've got a man which is prone now and again to a mistake, and you've got a team which is prone now and again to a mistake, you've got no chance, because when one isn't making a mistake, the other one is.
But the problem is in the way that the Ferrari culture runs. You know, Vettel, how many championships? And how many championships with Ferrari? Alonso, how many championships with Ferrari? When they're getting the drivers that don't tend to make the mistakes, they still can't do it.
I think that was the beginning of the end. Oh, sorry, the beginning of the real mess with Ferrari was when I remember it because I think it started to rear its head, didn't it? At Monza, one year I can't remember which year it was, but it was when the focus of Ferrari began to turn on Alonso. It's Alonso's fault we're not getting these results, even though he carried that team on his back for the past 3 years. That seemed to be the beginning of the real Ferrari blame culture,
which shifted fairly quickly to God. I can't remember his name now. Sig Salesman.
Yeah,
Arriva Benny.
Thank you.
Arriva Bene. Yeah. Or was it? Yeah, was it Arriva Bene before Dominicali?
No, Dominicali was before Arriva Bene.
It was it was
Right.
Domenicali, one in between Arriva Benny, Benotti.
Yeah, so it was Dominicali was the beginning of the blaming of the managers then, because he got his fair share, didn't he, of Ferrari heat.
Yeah, when did he leave Ferrari?
2014, 2015.
I would
something
say
like
in that region.
Yeah, April 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, let's say as well, a man deemed that that sort of incompetent, and I clearly don't mean that, but a man deemed that incompetent, he's now running the sport.
With another one that they got rid of directly under him.
Yeah. So it would appear that maybe who's in charge of the firing within Ferrari might need to have a chat with themselves.
Well, no, the guy that did it's dead now, isn't he?
This is true.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's a bit crazy, isn't it? The Ferrari situation, especially when you consider that's all they exist for. All they exist is to race motor cars
And sell cufflinks.
and sell cufflinks. So I don't know. I do genuinely, right? When you think about it, do you see Ferrari winning World Championship this decade?
Not this year, I don't think. I think
No.
they looked really good, but I mean, this decade you can't tell, can you?
This decade, let's see what happens in 2026.
Well, okay, yeah, no, that's fair. Maybe not say decade.
All right,
but
do you
let's say-
see Ferrari winning a world championship this formula?
No,
It's
I don't.
already
Yeah.
going away from them, isn't it? And you
Yeah.
can see Mercedes catching up already. Yeah, that they genuinely might not be in the conversation next year.
And yet we're saying this after a Ferrari win.
Yeah,
Yeah, but not the right Ferrari.
Yeah, it just absolutely amazes me.
yeah. I don't know where they go. There's no point, like you say, of just moving figureheads around anymore. I don't know how a fucking Formula One team's put together. I'm a paint and decorator for this podcast.
Neither do
Obviously,
Ferrari.
I don't. No, exactly. But it doesn't seem. No other team seems to have the issues Ferrari have. It seems to be a Ferrari-only problem. Is the Ferrari mentality, which I suppose is a statement that answers its own question. But I just don't. I don't see what the. I don't see what the point of them is at the minute.
Gives us something to talk about on a Monday night about when they
does.
fuck up.
That's very true. It does keep us going.
One other wanker award, the protesters.
Oh,
Yes.
100%.
Protesting is fine, but do your homework first, and also do not put your own life in danger.
It wasn't just
For
their lives they were
protesting.
putting in danger; it was other people's lives
Yep, not just that.
unrelated to them.
Yeah,
And,
drivers, marshals, police officers that have to go onto the track to arrest them. Like,
Yep, the fans.
yeah, just stop oil. Just stop being a cunt. It's dead easy.
Yeah, there are better ways of doing this than throwing yourself under a car doing 200 miles an hour. And that just leaves the Joe Benazzi Participation Award, which I think is going to get renamed at this rate to the Danny Rick Participation Award.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
he was very anonymous yesterday.
I think Daniel Ricciardo is the recipient.
can we just take it as read that he's got it every race unless he does something Danny Rick? Because at the moment he's just turning up.
He is just there.
You know, even Lance Stroll was more notable.
Lance Stroll at least went forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Lance Stroll was more notable for qualifying last, but he was still more notable.
There's the question. If Lance Stroll was in the McLaren, would he be closer to Lando?
No, because he'd be starting
Daniel
20th
Ricciardo.
still.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be a better qualifier.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, the qualifying stuff.
Yeah, at least with Danny, he's only starting, say, 8 places behind Lando, not 14.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Maybe I'm being daft.
On this podcast, never.
But that right? I mean, maybe we could go with that then. Like any of the apart from Stroll, special case, and maybe Sonoda, but anyone else in the midfield? Do you think they would all be closer to Lando than Ricciardo right now? Magnussen, maybe.
I think Albon could be quite fun in the McLaren.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Albon. Latifi wouldn't be closer than
Yeah,
Daniel.
I
was
should-
gonna. When he said midfield,
His dad owns a
Yeah.
10th of that team, and still he's not in the conversation.
Yeah. Who else have we got? Alonso. I think Alonso would be close. Well, I think Alonso would probably be ahead of Lando.
Lando and Lando.
Yeah. That's that'd be a good team now, wouldn't it? Now that car's right. Who else have we got that which would be a better call right now?
Gasly.
Ocon.
Gasly will be in with a good shout.
Gasly. Ocon
Ocon
would be
could be
closer
good.
to. Yeah, would be closer to Lando. See, this is the thing that there's something we don't know here because Ricciardo has been so off the pace. Has something clicked in with Lando where like he's just fucking awesome now?
Is he George Russelling that McLaren?
Yeah, exactly. Is it an underperforming? He's Williams. Remember Williams, where we didn't know how good the Williams was because I had Massa and Bottas in it. Now that job is Lando's job. We don't know how good Lando is because of who's next to him.
The main thing to do in F1 is beat your teammates.
Yeah. Well, he's fucking doing that.
By a long way. What is the points difference between them? Lando's on 58, Danny's on 15.
It's not good.
Yeah. Again, that Scott Mansell video said something like Lando's got 82% or something of the team's points this year so far, or more than that even.
It's troubling 'cause if you look at the other two teams with the disparity in drivers, Aston Martin and Williams.
You were saying Ricciardo is Canadian.
I wouldn't go that far. He's very polite. And he does tend to apologise a lot, usually at the end of Q2. I think that about covers it, doesn't it? Oh,
There is a preview.
Spalls. Yeah, we have 2 races this weekend. We've got the sprint race on Saturday and the Austrian Grand Prix on Sunday. Are we going to quickly do a preview for either?
Well, very
both,
quickly because
any?
it is a short lap, isn't it? So
We can do a prediction.
yes, there will be lots of orange.
Yes.
It's my big prediction.
We will see a lot of photos of and footage of that Red Bull sculpture.
Yes.
I think Mercedes will be firmly back in third place.
Be interesting to see if they can hassle Ferrari.
Yeah, I'm not sure they'll be able to at the Red Bull Ring. It's just too many slow corners, and that's one of their weaknesses at the moment, is where the slow corners are.
Oh, well, actually, the that was in the driver's briefing. Wasn't that what
One of them.
Perez said to Hamilton? Because Perez said to Hamilton about how how quick the Red Bull was on the straights.
Oh, in the cool down room.
Yeah, and Perez turned around and said, "Yeah, but you guys are so quick in the slow speeds." Because I think he was talking about. There was the one point where Hamilton tried to go around the outside of Perez.
Yes.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. I think it might have been that they were talking about.
I'm going to go for a bold prediction. For Sunday's race, Lance Stroll will get his highest qualifying position of the season because it's an ideal circuit for him. He's going to qualify like crap on Friday. And then in the sprint, because it's gas brake turn, gas brake turn, gas brake turn, he'll make positions up.
Potentially.
Maybe.
Right, predictions.
Right, what are we predicting here?
Let's just go for the race.
The overall Sunday finished results.
Yeah. Although, if you go onto our website, you can predict both the sprint and the Grand Prix. There are two sets of predictions open.
I think I'm going to go fairly predictable. I'm going to go Verstappen, Perez, and I'm going to go Sainz.
I'm going to match 2/3 of that and say Verstappen, Perez, Lando, because he is good.
Ooh,
He is
does
good
like
round
Austria.
there.
He does like a bit of Austria.
I'll go Verstappen, Sainz, Perez.
We've all got a lot of faith in Leclerc at the minute.
No. Not any,
It's like we
faith,
think
no
a week
faith in
isn't enough
Ferrari.
time for him to stop being a bit stroppy.
Well, no, it's not him, is it? I mean, like he said in his post racing, he would rather not be saying every week that he still has faith in the team because he'd rather not have the problems. But the problems are there, and it's not ideal. But there's not anything he can do about it at the moment.
So, Lee?
I'm going to go for Max, Perez, Russell.
Ooh. Right, if you want to put your predictions in, just go to the website, it's threelegs4wheels.com, go to the games section, and the prediction league's up there. You can predict top 3, fastest lap, pole, number of DNFs, will there be a safety car, and that's for both races. Putting your prediction in for pole will depend on when you put your predictions in, because you've got till 5 minutes before either qualifying starts on Friday or 5 minutes before the sprint starts.
Question. So is that DNFs in both races? So if someone DNFs in the sprint?
It's DNF for each. So
Cool.
it's 2 separate predictions.
So up to 40 DNFs.
That is a potential. Stranger things have happened. I mean, if it throws it down Belgium style, then technically, yes, 40 DNFs.
Cool.
Or DNSs. Anything else? Oh, yes. If you want to help us out and get the show a little bit early and without adverts, even though we haven't had an advert this week, you can support us on Patreon just by going to patreon.com/3legs4wheels and pledge anything from £1, $1, €1 per month. We occasionally do the extra shows. Usually when we haven't got a long F1 podcast. But obviously, as tonight has been a bit of a long one, then we didn't do another Patreon show this week. If you want to get in touch, website is threelegs4wheels.com. You can leave comments on there. 3legs4wheels@gmail.com if you want to email us about anything. And we're at 3legs4wheels on all the socials. And individually on Twitter, we are...
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
At Total Shunt.
And at Pablo100. Right, we'll be back next week. Gonna miss the sprint race actually this Saturday. I'm gonna have to watch it on catch up.
Unless it's on where we're going to be because we have something planned.
We have something planned because 3 of us are going sim racing this weekend at our local sim centre. So we'll stick some photos up and we'll be talking about that next week along with whatever the hell happens in Austria. So until then, we'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.